my name's Matt. I'm at Urban Wood Lab. I'm going to talk today about preserving bark on some live edge slabs. There are only a few instances when this can actually be done and have the same durability and longevity as the slab itself, as far as the bark is concerned. So, majority of the time, I'm recommending that people remove the bark. It's a question that I get all the time. So I've got a couple of examples here. This particular one is a piece of cherry, and you can see that this stuff just flakes off really easily. And this piece has been sitting around for a little while, and it was harvested last summer. And then we have some other ones here that were harvested in the winter that have a little bit more of a grip, like this piece of maple, and then even more so this piece of elm. I mean, it's really stuck on there. And then this piece of ash as well. So a number of factors go into determining whether or not the bark is going to be staying on there or not. Stuff that's harvested in the winter is going to be material that most woodworkers will tell you is potentially the only time that you can preserve the bark without any chemical interplay. So the reason why that happens is because the cambium and the sapwood actually swell with water, and that's the tree's response to the external conditions. And in the winter, when it's really cold and dry, the tree wants to preserve as much moisture as it possibly can. So it has a much tighter grip on the outside bark. And you can kind of see this in a couple of species, but not always. So, for instance, in this particular piece of maple here, I don't know if you can see it zoomed in, but there's this bark layer and then this cambium layer here that you can visually see. And similarly, in this piece of elm, there's that yellow sapwood, there's a tiny little additional layer right there, and then the outer bark. And so, you can't just say if it has a lot of sapwood, it'll stick, because in this piece of elm, it's a very small sliver of it, but that cambium is also much bigger in this particular log that we've harvested. You can take a look here at the cherry, and there's almost like no cambium that's in there, and that has potentially a factor in whether or not it's sticking on there, but it's not the only one. The bottom line is that bark dries a lot faster. The fibers are way different than the fibers in the piece of wood itself, and so it's going to differ not only by species, by the temperature when it was actually harvested, how it was milled, and a number of other factors. So we usually recommend people take the bark off, but there are a lot of cases when you don't have to. So some of the chemical ways that you can do to actually stabilize that bark is to use pentacryl or aqueous sucrose solutions. I think you need a really high concentration, like a 40-ish% of that. And we haven't really tested that out yet on most of our wood here. So if you're good with epoxy and CA glue, that can also work. But the majority of the time, just take the bark off. It'll save a bunch of headaches later, because if you don't do it and you try to leave it on, majority of the time, it flakes off in a couple of years, and you have a big hole, if you will, of untreated and unfinished wood, and that's kind of where a lot of the moisture is going to get in, and it's just going to lead to problems. So checking and a number of other issues. So hope this helps, and be making some more videos later. So.